It's a pleasure to speak with you today. Thank you for taking the time. I'm Matt with MovieWeb. Um, yeah, it's you're fantastic. Everything I see you in is always great. And I
What?
just thinking of Melania, sort
Oh
of,
God.
and yeah, but also how worlds away different this sort of this mother is in The Shade. Just you have such fun range. So
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
yeah. No, so what interested you about this? I like the idea of, the difficulties of being a parent to someone with anxiety, with PTSD, that kind of thing, and trying to be supportive in that instance. Is that part of the interest for you, or what drew you here?
Yeah, certainly the mental health component. I'm not a big scary movie person. I can't do it. My imagination is too it just tricks me too much. So I don't watch them, period. But and my initial instinct when they sent me this was like, absolutely not, before I read it. And then I was like, all right, let me read it. And for me, the metaphor of the shade, this monster being from within, really to me felt like more than a scary movie, you know? Uh, and I was a kid with anxiety, pretty major anxiety. And really, it continues, as I've gotten older, I have figured out and worked really hard to do my best to sort of keep it at bay. It never goes away. If you have anxiety, it's always sort of sitting there, your shade. Sometimes it's loud and sometimes it's quieter. So learning to manage that, I think, is a challenging thing. But certainly, growing up as a child with anxiety and seeing my parents hold me so empathetically in that space, is something that drew me to the movie and to this character. She's been through so much, and yet she's able to show up for her children in, I think a really big and meaningful way.
I love that the film isn't it exists within a much more emotional and dramatic space than a lot of jump and scare horror movies, and I think that's part of how it manages to capture the feeling of anxiety when you saw it, because it's so much more cinematic than, it takes its time. It uses music, it uses
Yeah.
there's a lot of patience to it. It's really beautiful. When you saw it, was it different than how you envisioned it all?
Can I tell you a secret? I have not
And
watched
no,
it.
do
I'm
you?
I'm too scared.
Is this just because of horror, or is this a frequent thing
Yes.
to not watch?
I cannot watch even this one, which the script is so beautiful. And in shooting it, I was like, this is gonna look amazing. Um, and then I was like, I will never see this movie because I'm just too afraid. My husband couldn't come with me when we were filming, so I brought my friend and I made her stay with me, and I slept with all the lights on for like 5 days. And it really shows. I looked real tired, which was perfect for the character. But my husband watched it and was like, this is beautiful. He was like, this feels more like old school, like suspense. And of course, there's some very scary and, moments and sad, deeply sad moments. But he was saying the same thing, that it feels more like cinematic.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So, would you be interested in doing horror again? I guess this didn't cure anything or like make you more comfortable with it at
No,
all.
I'm still terrified. I'll have nightmares tonight just talking about it. If it's a script like this one, but the others that I've read have been so just like the point is to scare you. And I feel like the point of this is to make you think and feel.
Yeah, exactly. I talked with Connie Britton last week. She has a new one, Hereafter, which
Yeah.
is also, well, it's more focused on a mother, but it's also just this beautifully emotional, it just happens to be supernatural or,
Yeah.
within that genre realm. But
Connie's one of my favorite people on earth. We did Nashville together.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She's fantastic. I got her to hypothesize about Tammy Taylor's in Philadelphia Friday Night Lights, what her character's doing
Oh
now.
my
But
God.
yeah, she said
That's
they moved
amazing.
back to Texas.
Really?
Yeah, in her mind.
That's interesting. Yeah, possible.
So yeah, I mean you've done a lot of television as well. I did want to touch on, Melania, the all the Trump stuff. It's does that help you sort of process the chaos sometimes to make fun of it? Or is it cathartic in that way at all for you? Or is it just a joy of acting?
No, I think political satire has played a really important part in our country and not just the United States. I think in order for people to move through difficult and often scary times, art is the thing that allows us to sort of maintain our humanity and push through. And, there's symphonies, there's painting, there's, dramatic theater, and then there's comedy, which I think in some ways can be the most cathartic form because we're taking the stakes are already there. The stakes are so high. And not to assume anyone's politics, but I feel terrified about the possibility of another Trump presidency. So for me to be able to, no one's forgetting that if they, are on this side of the aisle. So to be able to take something that feels so scary and give us a reprieve for 4 to 5 minutes, and bring people joy, um, makes me happy to do. And also, it's a really funny character to play. I love Steven. I love that entire group of people. They've become like family to me. I've been doing it now for 8 years, since before my first daughter was born. I was pregnant with her when I started. Um, so they've seen my life shift immeasurably. And so it really does feel like a family. And, I think it is the thing that finally, although I've done a lot of comedic roles or had previously done a lot of comedic roles, I think it was the thing that pushed it over the edge of people going like, oh, she's like a comedian. She's like a comedic actress, not just a serious actress or, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, I mean it's perfect. I'd love if you and James Austin Johnson could get together sometime, but that would mean Trump and Melania got together some point.
Yeah, well, correct. No, she's running. She's in a tower somewhere.
I mean I doubt you're going method, but did playing that character give you any sort of uh empathy or sort of
No,
no?
no. In fact, I sometimes worry that we're making her too adorable. There are times where we've talked about it where we're like, are we making her seem too much like a victim in this? Because man, she was a big part of the birtherism. She has said some truly terrible things and supported a truly horrendous man. And so I don't feel bad for her at all. The one thing I think she does a good job of is keeping her son out of the media, which I think is really hard to do. So my sense is she's a pretty good mother. And so I respect that. She speaks 5.5 languages, which is, or 5 languages, which is, like 4.5 more than I speak. So I have respect for her about that. But basically, that's the end of my list.
Yeah, no, I like that. And you're able to keep that distance intellectually. It's good.
Mm.
Um, I wanted to ask, are you playing the actress to Lula Bankhead in this sort of
Yeah,
star-studded movie? Everything's going to be great. Is that who it?
yeah.
Okay. Is there anything you could share about that? Because that's an interesting role and incredible cast.
It's an unbelievable cast. It is like a gem of a movie. It is so sweet and really takes a turn where you're like, whoa, you did not expect it to happen. They have like there's theater ghosts. So within the theater are these ghosts that come to life. So it's not like I have a huge part in the movie, but I show up a few times in ways that felt like, yeah, I'll do that. Also, I'll do anything for Bryan Cranston and Allison Janney, like literally anything.
Yeah. Have you ever, I guess moving back to horror, have you ever sort of felt a theater ghost, or have you ever sort of felt connected? Yeah, could you?
Oh, I am a big ghost person. I believe in them. They are drawn to me. I lived in a fully haunted home. Like it was called the Luke Miller House. It's one of the oldest houses in New Jersey. There is like a V for victory branded into the hearth of the fireplace from one of the battles in the Revolutionary War. Like, yeah, it's one of those things where, everyone says like George Washington slept here, but in his writing, he was like, I slept at the Luke Miller house. And it was haunted as hell. But I loved them. It was crazy. I had this long story, but I had broken my neck and I was in a lot of pain. And I had one surgery in 2003, and this is around 2009, 10. And I knew I needed another surgery. And I had to take the train to go in to the city to do a show on Broadway. And my neck hurt so bad. And I laid on the ground and I was like, I'm just going to take a nap. And I legit felt something wash over me. It was like, and the peace that I felt in that moment, unbelievable. I would hum, I would sing in the house, ah, and then when I would stop through the radiator, you would hear like, like a humming. And I have witnesses. This is not me being crazy at all. Um, so I believe in ghosts. I've had experiences with ghosts. I've had good ones. I've had bad ones. I had a really bad one. Um, so I think that's part of like why I get afraid because I'm like, this shit is real.
Yeah, when you actually believe it. Yeah,
I
yeah.
believe it.
Did the very bad experience happen before or after you had a negative reaction to horror films?
I've always had it.
But
Like even when my friends were like, let's watch, Scream or whatever. I watched Scream one time and I was like, what are we doing here? This is a terrible idea. Who's enjoying themselves? And the answer was all of my friends. But I can't do it.
well, you can live with ghosts, but can't watch them on the screen.
I
Uh,
could watch a ghost.
okay.
I could watch a ghost. But like, and I think in some ways, like this is not a horror film.
Right.
The Shade is not a horror movie. It is a metaphor. It's cinematic. It's beautifully written. I think it's really well acted. I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about the other people. So to me, this is not the same as like people get stabbed for no reason. It's not that to me. But I think the people who like those movies will also like this. But people who don't like those other movies will also like this. To me, this is like a broader, wider audience than just like you said, like jump and scare. Is that what you called it?
Yeah, yeah, or jump scares, yeah.
Jump scare, jump, poop your pants, whatever it
Yeah.
is.
The oh shit movies.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Literally.
yeah. Well, if you never get to see it, rest assured, I think it is very moving and very beautifully done. And
Yeah.
yeah, uh, unforgettable, really, just visually and emotionally. So
Well, that makes me so happy to hear.
good. Well, I
Yeah.
really appreciate you discussing that and
Yeah.
everything.
Thanks, Matt. I
And,
appreciate you.
yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to seeing people's reaction to this, and whenever we get to see you, I don't know, would you do a, final Melania if Trump loses?
We did a final Melania
Oh,
when
did
he lost last time.
oh,
We did. It was like a
what?
big one. It was a big musical number in Times Square. So
Oh, I missed that.
yeah, you should look it up. It's really, really well done. Did you see the most recent one in Chicago
Is
for the convention?
n- no, I saw the juror one over the summer. I might have
That
missed the.
Watch the one in Chicago.
Okay, I need to.
Watch the one in Chicago at the convention. It's the best one we've ever done.
Really?
It's
Oh,
amazing.
good.
Yeah, it's the most fun I've ever had doing anything. Um, but my hope is that there will never be a final Melania. My hope is that she can occasionally come back to just talk about literally anything. Um, but in all likelihood, we will say goodbye to her. And I would gladly give up this job for the sake of our democracy.
Absolutely. Well, until Melania 2036, uh, but
You
yeah,
imagine?
Well, thank you
She
again
runs
so
on a platform of gold toilets. That's her whole thing. Gold toilets for everyone, but not food or
her
social security.
just every speech is a Michelle Obama speech. Every single
Yeah,
one.
yeah, exactly. I love it. All
All
right,
right.
Matt,
Well,
thank you so
thank you so
much.
much. I appreciate you. Have a good one.
Yeah, me too. Bye.